Part 1, The True Story of the Vietnamese Cannibal. This story took place in a small town in rural Vietnam. It was told to me by my uncle. People in that town lived in houses very near to one another. There were houses built close together with a mere 5 feet wooden fence separating their backyards. The backyards double up as their kitchen. Back then they didn't have that great of a refrigerator to keep their meat from getting spoiled. So, the only way for them to keep their meat was to put salt on the meat and store it in the kitchen in the backyard. They didn't have any special container to put it in but just inside a shelf on the table. Everything was well and peaceful in that small town until something strange happened to a family. On the night when it all started, the housewife of that family routinely stored their extra meat in the backyard. The next morning, as she was making breakfast, she found the piece of meat missing. Furious, she went around asking everyone in the family where or what they do with the meat. Nobody knew what happened to that piece of meat and they didn't give it much thought either. The housewife, too, although a bit upset, just went to the market and got more meat. That night, she did the same thing again with their extra meat, but this time she kept it in a different shelf to make sure no one would take it away. The next morning, she went to the backyard and checked but again found the meat missing. By then, she was very upset. She complained to her husband that their meat was stolen 2 nights in a row. They decided they should investigate further to solve the problem. The husband suggested that they stay up that very night and keep an eye on the backyard. They were determined to catch the culprit that very night. That night, the couple sat by the window overlooking their backyard. They turned off the lights after their children had gone to bed to make sure no one could see them from outside. It was a hot, full moon night with only the sound of cricket and owls howling. Everyone in the small town was already in bed by midnight, except, of course, the couple who was getting more and more anxious. It was slightly after 1 a.m. when the couple saw the shadow of a person jumping over the fence into their backyard. Under the bright moonlight, they could work out it was a woman though they couldn't see exactly who she was. Then, the woman walked closer and towards the piece of meat sitting on the shelf just a few feet away from them. Once she gets her hands on the meat, we will rush out and catch her red-handed, the wife whispered to her husband. As the woman reached out for the meat, the couple slowly moved towards the door. However, they were stunned by what they saw next. The woman was holding on to the meat and eating it raw. Under the bright moonlight also, they saw who the woman was. She was actually the old lady from next door. What gave them the creeps was the way she looked. The old lady looked as if she had been possessed. She was taking big bites and tearing the meat apart with her sharp teeth and fangs. After finishing up the meat, she just ran and jumped over the fence like a strong youth. The next morning, the couple went over to their neighbor's house to consult with them over what had happened. Of course, their neighbor was shocked to hear what had happened, and refused to believe that it was the grandmother of the family who did it. The neighbor told them that it was impossible because the old lady had been very ill for the last couple of days. The couple thought they had been mistaken and didn't give much thought to the old lady. That night, the husband and wife went out of town for some dealings. They left their 1-year-old baby at home with a babysitter. By midnight, the babysitter had put the baby to sleep and was sitting in the living room waiting for the couple to come back. The couple, however, did not come back until almost 1 o'clock. Just as they stepped foot into the house, they heard a loud scream from the baby's room followed by an agonizing cry. The 3 of them rushed to the baby to see what had happened.